Good morning, everybody. How are you? I hope you are doing well. Well, today we are going to re-explain the beginning of chapter 7 as I promised you. And we are going to start with the simple sentence because we have explained this before the lockdown. And now I'm going to repeat it, the beginning of this chapter for those whom they didn't attend the lectures. So we are going to start with the simple sentence, clause patterns. Of course, in third stage, you have tackled with the simple sentence and what is meant by simple sentence. And also, if you remember, you have tackled with the types of sentences. And we have mentioned that we have 3 or 4 types of sentences: the simple, the compound, the complex, and the compound complex sentences. So we are going now in this chapter, we are going to deal with simple sentences, and on chapter 11, we are going to tackle, or we are going to deal with complex sentences. If we have a look to this sentence, I quickly shut the door before the animal could escape. You will see that actually we have 2 sentences linked together by this conjunct before. The first sentence, it's meaningful and it stands alone without any need to complete its meaning by another elements. It's meaningful by its element only. So I quickly shut the door is a meaningful sentence, and we call this sentence independent sentence. It means that it is independent and needs no elements in whatsoever from any other elements, whether from the neighbor sentences or not. Well, let's have a look to the second part of the clause, in which it starts with the conjunct before. So suppose I say before the animal could escape and I keep silent, the listener will be astonished and wondering what is next. Before the animal could escape, it means that there's something has been mentioned before, or something will be mentioned later on, because the meaning is not complete and it needs another elements to complete the meaning of this sentence. This sentence, in which it starts with a conjunct, we name it as dependent clause or subordinate clause, because it depends on another elements in the clause to complete its meaning. Now, as you see, we have certain elements in which they are important in any sentence, whether it is dependent or independent. You see here we have sentence, the subject, and we have the object, and sometimes you have the subject, the verb, and the object. Sometimes you have an object, and sometimes there is no need for an object. And even with the second part of the clause, in which it is subordinate or dependent clause, it also includes subject and verb, and might include other elements in the sentence. So the subject and the verb are the basic elements in any sentence. The subjects and the verb are basic elements in any sentence. So this clause, we call it subordinate clause. Okay. So since we say that this is a sentence or this is a clause, because I believe I mentioned to you that any sentence is a clause, but not any clause is a sentence, because the clause might contain more than one sentence. Okay. Now, Quirk and Sydney mentioned that we have actually 7 types of sentences. We have 7 types of sentences. But one might ask, are there the only types? Are there no other types of sentences? Of course, there are other types, mentioned by other writers, but these are the basic sentences, the basic 7 types of sentences mentioned by Quirk and Sidney. So according to them, these are the basic types, and there might be other types, but they are not basic. These are the only basic 7 types of sentences. And as you see, all the 7 types start with subject and verb. All the 7, there is the subject and the verb, in all the 7 types. And I'm gonna help you to remember how you write down or how you order these types. So as you see, the first one start with SVA, SVC, SVO. So SV is fixed, and the things that are added are A, adverb of place, C, subject complement, and O, the object. Now this formula will be fixed, SVO will be fixed, and then from 4 to 6 we are going to repeat the same elements added to the first 3 types, in which they are A, C, O. So when we fix this type SVO, we are gonna add only A, C, O, the same as A, C, O here. And the 7th type is SV only. SV only. Okay. Now, what type of A here? Adverb. It should be adverb of place in particular. Adverb of a place in particular. Now, here, as you see, we have different types of verbs. For instance, the first type, in which it is SVA, the type of the verb here, we call it intensive verb. Intensive verb, and that it is not transitive. It requires no object at all, but it can't stand alone. And it needs another element to complete its meaning. These elements are either adverb of place or subject complement. How we get such a type of clause? We are going to get the first type by depending on verb to be in particular. Because verb to be is considered as an intensive verb. And also we can depend on verb to be to get the second type, in which it is SVCS. اللي احنا نسميها subject complement. But the second type we can depend also not only on verb to be. We can depend on also linking verbs, because linking verbs relate what comes before to what comes after. So we can get also subject complement if we use a type of verbs. We call them linking verbs. So let's have a look to the first type, SVA. Mary is in the house. In the house is adverb of place. Ali is in this college. In this college is adverb of place. They are here. Here is adverb of place. So as you see, I depend on verb to be to get this type of clause. Now, the second type, SVC, as I mentioned, also requires intensive verb. And you can see it is written here in a small letter. Intense, it means intensive verb. And the adverb here is a place, adverb of place. So not any other types of adverbs. You have adverb of time, adverb of frequency, adverb of quantity, of quality. So there are so many. So in particular, we have to bring and put here only adverb of place. So the second type, either to depend on verb to be also, or linking verb. So I can say she is a nurse, she is a doctor, or she is a nice girl, or it seems good. It seems good. Seems is a linking verb. Now, we come to the third type, SVO. In this type, the verb will be changed. We are not going to depend on intensive verb. Rather, we are going to depend on transitive verb, but a type in which we call monotransitive. Monotransitive means that this sentence requires only one object. That's why it is mono. In Latin, mono means one. So I have to differentiate between the verbs, which verb to be chosen. So now I have to choose verbs that bring me only one, a verb that brings me only one object. So somebody carried the ball. She cleans the room. They attended the lecture. He explains the lesson. So we have so many examples. Now the fourth one, since SVO now is fixed, so I'm going to add the same element that I used to add them on the first three types. So SVO, A, and again the A is adverb of place. Adverb of place. But the verb, the verb here is not mono, rather it is a complex transitive. Because why it is complex? Because it can't stand alone with the object. It needs another element to complete the meaning, but not another object, another element. That's why we call it complex transitive. And of course, there are some verbs and you can count them and learn them by heart. So I said, I put the plate. Suppose I say, I put the plate and I keep silent. In this way, the meaning is not complete. You put the plate where? I put the plate on the table. I left the book. I left the book. Suppose I say I left the book and then I keep silent again. The meaning is incomplete. So I have to say, I kept the book on the shelf. On the shelf. Okay? So I need a place to complete the meaning. I put the book in the bag. I put the book in the bag. It's like this. I kept the keys on the table. Or I kept the keys on my bucket. It is a place also. Okay. Now let's move to the fifth type, SVOC. Again, it is a complex transitive because the meaning is not complete, though there is an object. But it is not complete. By the way, all the objects here are the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. And all these types, the fourth type in which there is an object, and the fifth type in which there is an object, the object coming immediately after the verb, it should be direct object. Why direct? Because it has a direct relation. Because it has a direct relation with the verb. احنا نقول باللغة العربية يقع عليه فعل الفاعل. So it has a direct relation. And the direct object might be animate or inanimate. قد يكون animate. يعني I called him. Now him is an animate. أو قد يكون inanimate. قد يكون مثلا إنه فد شيء غير حي. I cleaned the room. الروم هنا inanimate. So direct object might be animate or inanimate. So in 4 and 5, the direct object comes immediately after the verb. But in this time, in this fifth type, what comes after the object is not an adverb. Rather, it is object complement. Object complement. It means what refers back to the object. And again, we have special type of verbs that which we can get this type of clause. These types, of course, will be different from the previous type. So if I said, we have proved him a fool. Who is a fool? Him. So this complement return back to the object. So it is object complement. They elected him the president. They elected him a president. He named this ship Christina. So Christina refers back to the ship. Refers back to the ship. So we have to know these particular to know these particular verbs and keep them aside and say that these verbs will give me SVOC. Now we will move to the sixth type. In this type, it is SVOO. The type of the verb is different from the other types, the other previous mentioned types. In that we have a type of verb we call ditransitive. Di again, it is Latin, means to. Ditransitive, so it never, the meaning never completed unless there is another object in the sentence. But this time, what comes immediately after the verb is the indirect object, and the indirect is always animate because it is a receiver. So inanimate can't receive anything, but animate can receive. So though it comes immediately after the verb, but it has no direct relation with the verb, rather it has a direct recipient role with the direct object in which it comes at final position. So it will be subject, verb, indirect object, and direct object. Again, we have to know which particular verbs to give me such a type of clause. So in this example, she gives me expensive present. I gave her an apple. He writes me a nice letter. As you see, so I have many examples. And these verbs, as you see, they are different from the other verbs. Now finally, and the final type is SV. Again, this type of verb is different from the previous mentioned verbs, in that it is intransitive. Intransitive means that it requires no adding elements to the sentence, and it can't stand by itself by subject verb with a meaningful way. So if I say the child laughed, she is singing, she is dancing, it is full meaning and needs nothing to complete its meaning. But if other elements come after the verb, this is just to add more information, and no harm with that. But of course, if you delete them, they never affect the deletion never affect the meaning of the sentence, and it can stand as a meaningful whole sentence. Now we come to the end of these 7 types of clauses, and this note is very important. We have two parts in this note. The first one, it says that most obligatory adjuncts means adverbs, are adverb of place, as I mentioned, but there are many examples which the term place applies only in a broad metaphorical sense. It means that place is not clearly mentioned as a place, but it is mentioned metaphorically, يعني تعبير مجازي. It is not a particular place. So when you see this example, he is without a job, it means he is without a place to work in. So there is no place means that without a job is the adverb of place. I want you to differentiate between he is without a job and he is jobless. Jobless refers back to he, and actually it is the subject complement, while without a job is adverb of place. We kept him off cigarette. It means his bucket is empty. The place where he used to put the cigarettes is empty now. So off cigarette is metaphorically means adverb of place. But as I mentioned, the adverb should be adverb of place. So if we have they treated him kindly, kindly is not an adverb of place, and it never belong to these types, and this is a minor type. It never belongs to the 7 types. This is a minor type. Now let's come to complementation. The elements direct object, complement, and a adverb in the above pattern are obligatory elements, because if we delete any of them, the meaning will be incomplete, in the sense that they are required for the complementation of the verb. By this, we mean that given the use of a particular verb in a particular sense, the sentence is incomplete if one of these elements is omitted. So if I say I put the book and I keep silent, the listener or the audience, the hearer, will wonder what comes else after. You put the book where? So something is missing here. He resembled, and I keep silent. He resembled what? The meaning is not complete. So there are other obligatory elements in which they are missing from the sentence and need to be supplied. But of course, we can change the clause type of any type, transfer it, or change it to another a clause type. We can change a clause type to another clause type by keeping the original meaning. So if I say he is eating, it is SV. I can change it to SVO by saying he is eating an apple. Both are correct. Or he made her career. He is a reason for finding a career for her. SVO. I can change it to he made her career a success. What is a success? Her career. This is SVOC. He is teaching. This is full meaning. I can transfer it by transformational relation to change the clause type to he is teaching German, SVO, or he is teaching the boys German, SVOO. So suppose in the exam, I will ask you to do as required, as use transformational relation to change the clause type from SV to SVO, or from SVO to SVOC, and vice versa. From SVOC to SVO, you have to memorize them by heart. I want you to memorize these by heart. Okay. Of course, as I mentioned, the adverbs mentioned in the 7 types are obligatory adverbs, and that if I say, for example, she is, and I keep silent, the meaning is incomplete unless I say she is here. So here, the adverb of place is obligatory, and its existence is very necessary and important to give the meaning, to give the sentence full meaning. But sometimes there are other adverbs in which they are optional and they are not obligatory in the sentences. If we move to section 7.4, you have optional adverbs. So I'm gonna read. The patterns of 7.2 can be expanded by the addition of various optional adverbs. For example, if I say, sometimes she sings beautifully. طبعا احنا مذكرنا 7 أنواع. قلنا بأنه دائما ب7 أنواع حيجينا الاس في دائما. So we never mentioned that something might come before the subject. ماكو فد شيء يجي قبل السبجكت وماكو فد شيء يفصل بين السبجكت والفيرب. This is obligatory انه الاس يجي وراها الفي. So if sometimes something come before the subject or something comes in between the subject and the verb, or an adverb can be added sometimes to the sentence, but it is not an adverb of place, another type of adverbs. Of course, these are optional. These are optional and can be removed from the sentence without affecting the meaning of the sentence. So let's see the examples here. This is the type of SV. How do I know that is this type SV? Because sometimes she sings beautifully. We never have a clause type in which it starts with adverb. All the 7 types start with SV. So this is optional. شلون أحلها أني إذا يجيك بالامتحان identify the clause type for the following sentences. أنا أريد من عندك تحدد لي the clause types for the following sentences. وأنطيك أقول لك طبعا أنا ما راح أخلي لك أقواس. يعني هنا هو هسه دا يوضح لك مخلي لك أقواس. أنا بالامتحان ما أخلي لك أقواس. أكتب لك sometimes she sings beautifully. أنت حتباوع تقول أنا ما عندي ب7 types she يجي قبل السبجكت. إذا هذا optional. إيش حسوي لي؟ أعزلها 2 brackets. شلون هو هسه مسوي بالكتاب؟ صفحة 168 168 you separated by 2 brackets. أعزلها ب2 brackets وأخلي فوقها التسمية مالتها اللي هي adverb. يعني if you put only adverb يعني سميتها قلت لي adverb without putting the 2 brackets, this is wrong because you considered it as part of the clause. راح تعتبره هو part من الكلوز. هو أصلا مو part. إذن this is wrong. So you have to separate it by 2 brackets. طيب then she sings هاي اوكي عندي subject verb. بعدين عندي beautifully. أنا ما عندي أي type من ال7 types يجي adverb غير ال adverb of place. So beautifully now it is not an adverb of place. أيضا أعزلها 2 brackets وأكتب عليها adverb. أكتب عليها شنو؟ أكتب عليها adverb. When you separate it by 2 brackets, it means that you are telling me that this is not part of the clause. Now let's come to the second example. In America, most students are now on vacation. In America, most students are now on vacation. Of course, in America, it is adverb of place, but I never have something before the subject. So now I can realize that in America is optional. So I have to separate it by 2 brackets. يعني هي بالجملة الأصلية اللي راح يعطيكم إياها أو أنطيكم إياها بالامتحان أني ما حخلي لكم أقواس. بالأنسر مالتك you have to put what? You have to put 2 brackets and write سواء فوقها تكتب أو تسحب لي سهم arrow وتخلي جواها الادفرب تخلي ايضا between 2 brackets. حتى الادفرب حتى التسميه اللي راح تخلي لي اياها لازم تخلي لي اياها between 2 brackets. الاصليات اللي تسميهن subject verb غيرها اللي هو part of the clause there shouldn't be any bracket. لكن الجديد اللي انت راح تخلي لي brackets عليه حتى التسميه مالته لازم يكون شنو between 2 brackets. So in America راح separated by 2 brackets. Most students هذا السبجكت are هو الفيرب now. Now is adverb of time. احنا ما عندنا لحد الآن ب7 types any adverb of time. So again you have to separate it between 2 brackets and put A. And on vacation معطلين ماكو دوام ماكو وجود لهم بالصفوف. يعني هذا شنو adverb of place. Now let's come to the third type, SVOO. She kindly sent us some photographs. احنا ما عندنا اي نوع من انواع السبعه فشي يجي بين السبجكت والفيرب. So kindly, this is new. It is added just stylistically or to give a little bit some more information. If you remove kindly from the sentence, يعني إذا قلنا she sent us ما راح يأثر على الجملة. If you remove it, it never affects the meaning of the clause. So this is again optional. يعني جتي بين السبجect والverb. So again, you separate it by two brackets and put a over it, either over or below. Now, we will come to 7.5 transformational relations. One way of distinguishing the various clause types is by means of transformational relations. أو راح يعرف لكم شنو يعني transformational relations of grammatical paraphrase. واحدة من أنواع البارافريزنج هو passivization. من أنت شو راح تسوي؟ تحول إياها from active to passive. إذن هو هذا نوع من grammatical paraphrase. Clauses containing a noun phrase as object. واحدة من شروط الباسف. There should be an object to occupy the position of the subject. To occupy the position of the subject. هاي واحدة من شروط الباسف. There should be a noun phrase as an object. And a noun phrase as object are distinguished by their ability to be converted, تتحول into passive clauses. The object noun phrase assuming the function of the new subject. راح يجي يقعد وين؟ مكان السبجكت. احنا why we use passive? Why? We use passive for two reasons. Either we want to shed light on the action rather than the doer of the action. عندنا الأكشن أهم من اللي سوى الأكشن. So we want to shed light on the action because we believe that the action is more important than who did the action. This is one thing. The other thing, if the doer of the action is unknown, يعني أنا جيت ولقيت الشباك مكسور أقول the window is broken، ما أدري من الكسرها. فإما بالحالة الأولى subject معروف بس مو مهم، المهم الأكشن أكثر. وبالحالة الثانية يجوز إنه أني ما أعرف the doer of the action. And in academic writing, we prefer to use the passive more than the active because we are going to put emphasis on the action rather than the doer of the action. الverb, in this case, we are going to call it verb pass. تحت الverb اكتب pass يعني passive verb phrase. The subject appearing, if at all, in an optional by phrase إذا كان السبجكت الأصلي موجود بس قلنا هو مو مهم، فأقدر أذكره بالأخير باستخدام الباي. بس إيش أكتب أني؟ إحنا نخلي له باي ألي for example. بالأخير راح يكون عندي باي ألي. أعزل باي ألي ببراكت سكوير براكت وأخلي أي، يعني أعزلها بسكوير براكت باي ألي وأسحب جواها سهم أكتب عليها أي. هذه الأي يعني الأيجنت القائم بالعمل. Let's have a look to this example. Many critics disliked the play. يعني كثير من النقاد disliked the play اللي هي النوع SVO والأو هنا إيش؟ direct object. the play هي الأوبجكت. It is going to occupy the position of the subject. راح تيجي تاخذ موقع subject. فthe play جت هنا. شوفوا جملة الأكتف عند الفاعل الأصلي جمع. الفاعل الأصلي جمع. الفعل بزمن الماضي البسيط. هسه الفاعل الجديد مفرد. the play. قاعدة شو تقول؟ and let me say it in Arabic better. قاعدة تقول إنه أنا إذا أريد أحول جملة الأكتف إلى جملة الباسف أخذ الأوبجكت أخليه المفعول به أضعه في مكان السبجكت في مكان الفاعل الجديد. يعني هو حيكون فاعل جديد عندي. بعدين شكو عندي فعل مساعد بالجملة أنزله مع الأوبريتر. قد يكون عندي بس أوبريتر قد يكون عندي operator ويا auxiliary أنزلها. الأوبريتر لازم يتلائم، يصير concord، تناسق بينه وبين الفاعل الجديد. فإذا كان الفاعل القديم، انتبهوا لي رجاء دا أحكيها بالعربي، إذا كان الفاعل القديم عندي جمع زين وعندي اوبريتر يتناسب مع الجمع، مثل children have، وبعدين تتحول جملة الباسف الفاعل عندي مفرد، مثل the book. هسه عادي the book من أريد أنزل الهاف ما أنزلها هاف، أنزلها هاز، لأن الفاعل الجديد اللي إجاني صار مفرد. قد يكون عندي أكثر من auxiliary كلهن ينزلن كما هن ما عدا الأوبريتر لازم يتلائم بالكونكورد بالتناسق مع السبجكت. إذا كانت الجملة مال الأكتف ما بها أفعال مساعدة، بس الفعل الرئيسي بالجملة. أوكي، هذا خو بعد أسهل. عموما إذا كان عندي فعل مساعد أو ما كان عندي فعل مساعد، فإذا كان عندي فعل مساعد تنزل الأفعال مساعدة إلى أن أوصل إلى الفعل الرئيسي بالجملة. قبل أن أنزل الفعل الرئيسي اللي بجملة الأكتف إلى جملة الباسف لازم أعتمد على واحد من الفيرب تو بي، على واحدة من الفيرب تو بي. أنا عندي 8 أشكال للفيرب تو بي، 8 أشكال. عندي الآم والإز والآر بالمضارع، was were بالماضي، been للبرفكت، being للpresent participle، والبي اللي هو المجرد اللي هو ما يحمل أي إضافات. فأنا عندي 8 verb to be. أجيب وحدة من ذن ال8 بما يتناسب وزمن الجملة. يعني مثلا هسه أنا عندي disliked، بس هذه الجملة ما عندي بيها ولا فعل مساعد، إذا أنزل المفعول بيها خليه يقعد بمكان الفاعل، أجي للفعل الرئيسي أريد أنزله، ما عندي أفعال مساعدة بس الفعل الرئيسي. لازم أجيب فعل من أفعال verb to be بما يتناسب مع تنس جملة الأكتف. Now disliked is in the simple past. So I have to bring either was or were. Since the new subject is singular, so I have to bring was. هو singular الفعل فأجيب was. Then I have to change the main verb into the past participle of the verb. To the past participle. يعني disliked يجوز احنا حافظين هي disliked نفسها disliked، بس اكو افعال مثلا go went بعدين يصير gone، يعني لازم الفعل احوله الى التصريف الثالث للفعل. اذا اني عندي auxiliaries مثل ما قلت لكم كل الاوكسيلياريز انزلها، وايضا من اوصل للفعل الرئيسي اجيب من عندي verb to be بما يتلائم وتنسج جمله الفعل المين فيرب. شنو كان عندي؟ يا تنس بي اي ان جي اجيب اي ان جي، simple اجيب simple، perfect اجيب perfect. شوف هو المين فيرب هنا شنو التنس اللي شايله، راح اجيب من الفيرب تو بي بما يتلائم مع التنس الموجود بجمله الاكتف. بعدين ايضا احول المين فيرب الى التصريف الثالث للفعل. I believe now the explanation is clear since I say the things and I clarify things in the Arabic language. So the play was, since the tense here is simple past, was disliked. I changed the main verb into the past participle. By, since the subject in the active sentence بالactive the subject is there. By many critics. شوف شلون هي by many critics، هاي by many critics. هسه أنا من أريد أحللها للجملة هذه أسوي لها identification. شو راح يصير عندي؟ S V pass. شوف شلون حللتها S V pass and then بين قوسين شو أخلي؟ أي اللي هو الأيجنتيف القائم بالعمل. Where the passive draws more attention to the result، مو قلت لكم احنا نخليها للأكشن أهمية أكثر من الدور، than to the action or the agency. The resulting copula get أحيانا بالcolloquial language or everyday language you can hear, or sometimes you might hear the window got broken أو تقولون the window become broken. Colloquially they can use get and become instead of verb to be. And this is correct, but for us as learners of the English language, we prefer to use verb to be in the passive more than this copula, get or become. But I'm going to read it to you. Where the passive draw more attention to the results than the action or the agency, the resulting copula get frequently replaces be, though chiefly a rather informal usage. As I told you, colloquially. This is informal. إحنا كأكاديميين we use verb to be. So the window was broken by my younger son. I know how the window got broken. هذه colloquial أو informal. A more gradually achieved result can be sometimes expressed by become, the same way as we use get. So we can say, with the passage of time, the furniture become covered in dust. Become covered. هسه أنا عندي مجموعة من الجمل اللي هي active and we are going to change it to the passive. Queen Victoria considered him a genius. A genius من هو؟ him. فإذا هذا النوع هو SVO. طبعا الأو هنا direct and object complement. him راح يجي يصير لي subject راح يتحول إلى he was considered a genius by Queen Victoria. فيكون التحليل مالته SV pass COA. An intruder must have placed the ladder there. SVOA, there, adverb of place. The ladder must have been placed there by an intruder. And see the close type here. My father gave me this watch, so I have two objects, me and this watch. Because gave this watch to me. It means I have here two objects, and this type gave, as I told you, you have to remember these verbs. In this case, I have two passives. I was given this watch by my father. This watch was given me by my father. So I have two passives. Suppose I ask you to use the transformational relation with this sentence, and you are going to give me only one sentence. This is half mark you are going to take, because since there are two objects, I expect you to give me two passives. Now, another type of transformational relation is by expanding the clause type. We expand the clause type and change it to another type, as we mentioned previously. So the baby is sleeping, it is SV. I can, by using transformational relation, the baby is asleep, the same meaning. But asleep here is subject complement rather than a verb. Two loaves will suffice. SV, two loaves will suffice. Two loaves will be sufficient. Two loaves will be sufficient. Sufficient, return back to the two loaves. He hurried, SV. He went fast, the same meaning, though the elements are different. He is jobless. You remember when I told you he is without a job? He is jobless. SVCS. حولتها إلى he is without a job. The same meaning, but the clause type is different. Now we are going to move to 7.6, and we are going to deal with this type only because it is more important, in which we are going to use the intensive relation to change the clause. So SVOO clauses can be transformed, especially with SVOO, can be transformed into SVOA clause by what? By using a prepositional phrase for the indirect object. So first I have to bring a prepositional phrase, and I'm going to pull أسحب أجر indirect object to the end of the sentence, leaving a gap, an empty place, in which this place is going to be occupied by the direct object. يعني رح يرجع الdirect object المكان الطبيعي, and the indirect object will be at the end of the sentence, pulled by مسحوب, pulled by the preposition. حيجر الpreposition إلى آخر الجملة. But the most important thing is to know which particular preposition should be used. يعني أنا مو كيفي أجيب أي preposition، لازم أعرف which preposition is suitable to the sentence used. Now let's have a look to these two sentences. She sent Jim a card. SVOO. She sent Jim, indirect object, a card. So this is the indirect object. So I'm going to depend on prepositional phrase to pull أسحب the indirect object to the end of the sentence. مش أقول she sent a card to Jim. She sent a card to Jim. She left Jim a card. She left a card for Jim. أحيانا ممكن أستخدم ال to وال for interchangeably, and sometimes are not. You have to pay attention to this. To and for and their recipient senses معناها اللي هو الاستلام are the prepositions chiefly involved, but others مثلا with, of are occasionally found. شوف I'll play you a game of chess. راح ألعب وياك a game of chess. أتعني من ألعب وياك إما ألعب وياك أو ألعب ضدك. So I can use either with or against. Both are correct. فأقول I'll play you a game of chess. I play a game of chess with or against you. طيب she asked Jim a favor. طلبت خدمة من Jim. She asked a favor of Jim. Now we are coming now to 7.7, and this is the last section for our lecture for today. And next lecture we are going to re-explain a clause element syntactically defined with the clause element semantically considered, and we will step to exactly to the or with the concord. So multiple class membership of verbs. It must be borne in mind that one verb can belong in various senses to a number of different classes. If you remember, we said, for example, before 2 minutes, we said he is teaching. He is teaching German. He is teaching the boy German. So he is teaching, it comes like intransitive, then like monotransitive, then like ditransitive. So it takes different clause types. And actually there is one copula, get copula. This is the only copula in which you can find it in 6 types of clauses. 6 types of clauses, but not 7. Because it never complete, the meaning never be completed if it comes alone with the subject. Because in its senses, it means activity. It means activity. So it needs something to come after it to complete its meaning. So I'm going to read again. It must be borne in mind that one verb can belong in various senses to a number of different classes, and hence enter into a number of different clause types. The verb get is particularly a versatile one, being excluded only from type SV, and I told you why. Let's have the 6 types. SVC, he is getting angry. Who is angry? He. SVA, he got through the window. Through the window, adverb of place. SVO, he'll get a surprise. Object, direct object. SVOC, he got his shoes and socks wet. He got his shoes and socks wet. What is the wet? The shoes and wet. So this is object complement. SVOA, he got himself into trouble. Into trouble. SVOO, he got her a splendid present. So as you see, it has actually 6 types. Through the multiple class membership of verbs, ambiguities can arise. Yes, of course, can arise. I found her an entertaining partner. I found her an entertaining partner. Actually, this is raises ambiguity because I don't know whether she is an entertaining partner or I found her someone who is he is an entertaining. She called him a steward. She called him a steward. Either he is himself a steward or she called someone a steward to him. So it could be interpreted as SVOC or as SVOO. So ambiguity arises if we have a verb with multiple membership, class membership. So there you can find ambiguity there. Now we reach to the end of the lecture. I hope you benefit a lot from this explanation. And next lecture we are going to continue. Stay at home, be safe, and good night.